You have something that she wants. As soon as you give her what she wants, and in its entirety, right? When you give her everything she wants and there's no questions left from her perspective, you're instantly irrelevant. That's why I like so much using the range for the CMA. Like, so let's say the home is worth $700,000. I'm going to say, well, look, the low end for your neighborhood is $600,000. The high end is $800,000. To nail that number down with specificity, I at least need to talk. It's best if I walk the property, but I can do my thing and give you a good direction if we at least talk about it. Now, why do I want that? I want that because I want to build some kind of rapport with her. I want to learn more about her story because she doesn't think you are relevant to her until it's time to stick a sign in the yard. My name is Barry Jenkins, and I am a team owner in Virginia Beach with 80 agents, and I wrote a best-selling book called Too Nice for Sales. And the team at Meskula asked me to come on every Friday and apply the principles of that book to your business. And as I say every week, the last few months, what we've been doing that the users have found particularly helpful is almost like one-to-many coaching. It's a one-on-one scenario, and this is where you bring your scenarios, challenges, difficulties, and you say, hey, what would you do in this situation? And we use that as a springboard to try to help really make the training effective for you, because ultimately that's what this is about. So let me kick it off and just see, does anybody have any business situations, any leads that you're having trouble with, any successes that you want to share of maybe something you learned in this training and you used it and it worked? Who wants to go first? Sheldon?
Yeah, sorry, I'm muted. I have a question. I've got a few leads lately, properties that are listed. One I have today, actually 11. It's listed currently, but it's been listed for over a year and a half. It's actually a $10 million property. I went and drove past it today. And just trying to get some, I'm just trying to do some comps, and there doesn't seem to be any comps, but I guess this is the second one I had yesterday, and unfortunately she didn't answer phone, but it had been listed for 3 days. So I'm guessing that just kind of
Well, no, it definitely poses an interesting situation. What I would tell you is, can you really trust a professional? Let's say you really trust your therapist or your CPA, and they tell you what to do and you start doing it and maybe it doesn't work. Well, normally your first reaction is not to call another therapist. Normally your reaction is to go to the therapist or the attorney and say, hey, this is a problem I'm having, or this is how it's not working. Can we try to fix it? Right. And it's interesting when someone has a real estate agent, they've listed it, and they want another opinion on value. Something about the relationship between them and their agent is broken, because they should be going to their agent for information, and that agent should be giving them the information that they need. I'm not saying that people never want a second opinion, but this is different. They've already decided on what they're going to list their home for. Their licensed agent has worked with them to give them that information, and now they're wanting to talk to another person in the same profession about the same home that they've already listed. So I'm giving you that context to say that when you call, if you're like most agents, and the reason why I went into this long narrative with you, if you're like most agents, you're thinking, is this am I being greedy, slimy? Am I being a snake? Am I trying to hurt another agent's business? And somewhere along the lines, as an industry, we got more concerned about stepping on other agents' toes than we did what's best for the client. So this is really important, everybody, because there's some circles that might say, oh, well, are you sure you're going to call that lead? If it's already listed with another agent, shouldn't you call their agent and talk to them? Well, in my state, if the consumer has an agency agreement to have their home sold and they contact me about selling their home, I'm allowed to talk to them about selling their home. Every state's different, so make sure you're allowed to do that. But I'm bringing that up because we're too focused on the other agent, when really this is the client's largest asset that they own, more than likely. They're nervous, they're scared, and they deserve amazing service. They deserve to have the warm fuzzies when they talk to their agent. So when you're calling this person, I want you to make good on listing the home, or going over the value of the home. Provide just immense value, probably more value, to be candid with you, than you would if it was just a lead that hasn't listed yet. But the fact that they've already listed I would just tell you to throw out all the cards on the table, give them the best analysis of the value of their home that you can over the phone. And a lot of times I tell you guys to try to see if you can get the face-to-face appointment, right? I don't advocate just giving it all away. But in this situation, the stakes are super high. They already have a licensed professional working on their behalf. So if you don't have really great ideas and really informative information, it's not going to win the business. The other thing, I know for sure in Virginia, and I don't know what state law versus federal law, but I know for sure I'm not allowed to encourage someone to end a contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, what's that?
It's the same here. Yeah. You can't.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't, but if they said, then yeah.
They solicited you, but there's going to come a point where if you do everything I just said, if you have the mindset that you're not being a snake, you're focused on the client and the client needs something and you provide immense value, there's going to come a point where they say, well, how do I get out of my contract? Right. And, I've always taken the position that I'm not going to teach them how to get out of it. But what I'm going to say is, well, your agreement is with the brokerage. If you decide that you want to end the contract with your brokerage, you would need to work directly with their broker to work on that. And then, of course, you can be a sounding board on relisting the home and things like that. And also, don't be afraid to bring it up. Yeah, I saw that it was already listed. How's that going? Right? That's what I would ask.
Yeah.
So as you're going to go with value, don't lead with that, by the way. Don't lead with how's it going? Because if you lead with how's it going, they don't know if they can trust you yet. So you're going to get the PG version, right? You're not going to get the R-rated version. You know what I mean? So I would do the call, go in blind, talk about the home value, provide as much value as you can. And then in the middle, oh yeah, and by the way, I saw that it was listed already. And they're like, yeah. So how's that going? And that's when they're going to tell you. And really what they say determines where the opportunity is. So if they're like, yeah, he's not communicative enough, he's not doing any marketing. Well, the two things that this particular homeowner wants is good communication and good marketing. And so you can sell to that. You can say, well, let me share with you how I am good at communicating. Here's some past reviews. Here, let me share with you how I am good at marketing. Here's some past sales. Also, here would be some ideas on a marketing plan for you. And for a lot of people, they just want to know that they have a competent agent and a communicative agent. And so anyway, any questions about any of that?
Nope. And then maybe talk about where they're going or what their plans are next.
Yes. So after you do the home value, right? Because in this scenario, you're going to have to lead with more value right on the front end. Then you do a how's it going? I saw you listed. Then you can pivot to what I would call as more of this. After you've got those things out of the way, you can pivot to the more standard conversation points. Like, so when you move, are you staying in the area or you're relocating? And then you can, when they respond to that, hopefully there's some information there where you can really focus on the house that they're going to buy. Because what you'll start to, and that just for those of you that know, everything about what I said on the front end of this conversation is subtly different than what I normally say because of the circumstances. But then once it gets to the point that you've dealt with those things, that's when it becomes just a standard seller conversation where the close for me is, even though it's already listed, I'd love to take a look at the property and just make sure that the staging and things are good for, walking through the home and things like that. Because you're allowed, if they initiate the communication about selling the home, you're allowed to go to the listing. It's not going behind the sign. At least that's a phrase they use in my market. So, all right. Let us know how it goes next week.
Yeah. This is a super, obviously, unique property in an area that not a lot of homes sell. No homes have sold in the last year in this area. And I'm sure it's, I don't know, it could be price, it could be condition of the home, where it is, setbacks, whatever. Like, I suppose it's hard to really figure out why it hasn't sold. I suppose it's, I guess, not my job to figure out why it hasn't sold, or is that my job?
I would tell you, if you were the seller and you were contacting me, I would say, how's it going? And let's just say something vague like, oh, well, it's going okay, but we haven't had any buyers. Now I'm going to go into fact finding mode, right? Because if your market is like others, most homes that are priced fairly are selling in a reasonable amount of time in my market. So I'm going to use my market as an example. And I would say, your home's a little bit higher than what the average sales price is in our area. However, when I look at the entire city for homes over 7 million, all of them sold within 6 months, let's just say. I see yours hasn't sold. And have you had many showings? Maybe 2 a week. Got it. What feedback have you received? I haven't gotten a lot, but most of them just said that it was price. So I'm going to obsess about that. Whatever the feedback is, I'm going to press into that because that is the marketing strategy. So whatever people are saying is why they didn't buy it, that's what you should be doing, make the change. If the agent's not doing that, either A, not collecting feedback, or B, not actioning on the feedback, that's your value proposition in that moment to the homeowner. And you should be the voice of the home buyers in that community. So in essence, I am telling you, it should be your job to tell them why you think it hasn't sold. Okay. Because you need to represent, what does a buyer think when they're looking at this home? Why wouldn't they buy it? And you said there aren't any comps. Well, look, with comparables, in the way that we were trained when we had to do BPOs for the government, 1 mile out is preferred, 6 months, half a mile or less for like attached properties, a mile or less for detached. But if you don't have it, you go 2 miles, then 3 miles, right? You just keep going until you find something. Same thing with time. You want something 6 months or less that is closed. But if you can't find that, do a year. Can't find that, do 18 months. And is 10 million a lot for your area?
It's a specific area near the university. I don't know. Again, probably not familiar with the area, but there's this group of homes with big giant sized pieces of property, ocean views near the university. There's probably not too many of them, but they're probably all 8 to 20 million. I'm going to guess the area is pretty, I wouldn't say transient, but like there's probably lots of people that don't live in those houses that are just sitting on the money, and there's a tenant living there, something. This case, I think it's owner occupied. You could tell from the photos. Obviously kept it really nice. Whether they're there very often, I don't know. They're retired, maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Well, the reason why I was asking that question is you can just basically try to find others. If there's easy comps, you just get creative to try to find what the market is by going around the property. And they're going to want to hear conviction. They're going to want to hear confidence, right? They've already been through the guessing game with one other agent. So they need you to have so when you give the answers, you need to be specific. Like when and I know you haven't prepared for the meeting, but when I asked you what it's listed at, you strike me as a casual in nature vibe, which is a good thing. But with this person, they're going to want to see that you've got a really good plan because they don't want to waste any more time. So make sure that whatever you decide, have that going into it so that when they ask you the questions, you can be really decisive and specific, which again, is not the vibe I get from you. Again, is very relaxed and easygoing. And so you're going to have to force yourself to have that kind of persona when you're dealing with them, because again, that's what they want to hear.
Yep.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, Gotham, I saw you had your hand up earlier. Did you just have a question?
Yeah. I had some input on Sheldon's situation. I know in Ontario, like you said, we aren't able to nudge them into ending their contract with whoever they're currently signed with. We aren't able, I don't think we're able to even provide them any real estate advice if they are signed with another agent as well.
Interesting.
I have to double check that. I'm pretty sure that's the case. And I was wondering if you've ever been in a situation where you have, kind of had someone listed with another agent, that contract was terminated, they decided to list with you. Were you obligated to give any cut of your commission to that first agent if you were to sell that house? Because I think if you represent a buyer after they've already been represented by another agent and you get them to buy a home that the other agent had already showed them within like 60 days of that contract being terminated, I think you do owe that other agent a cut of the commission because they were the ones to show that property originally. Is that the same with sellers?
So I've never heard of any of that.
No.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about is, I think what he's talking about is if they buyer's agency agreement and they're within the 60 days or something, that person who showed him should actually get the full commission, not even just a shared amount.
Yeah.
So you got to be.
But yeah, that's a very market specific.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
what I
was.
would say, so for you to apply what I just said to Sheldon to apply to you, I would basically find out what you are allowed to do in that exact situation, and whatever you're allowed to do, absolutely crush it. Like,
Yeah.
and so whatever, if somebody's in an agency agreement or listing agreement, and you're allowed, find out what your area allows you to do, and just do a really good job, and don't force them out of their contract or even encourage it. Just be a sounding board for them. I have gotten a lot of clients this way. A lot. It happens a lot. So if you're new to the listing game and you're buying seller leads for the first time, just know that this is not uncommon, and it's a great opportunity, but you've just got to focus on what's best for the client, and realize, yeah, that agent, when they see your name for the rest of their life, they'll always hate you, and that's just okay. Like, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you made a decision to choose, I'm going to focus on the client, not the other agent.
Yeah. I have more of a specific to me question for you. So I had a seller lead opt in. She wanted to know the valuation, obviously, for her property. When Ashley, the bot, reached to her, she mentioned that she's not able to right now because she's canceled. So she said, text is better. I told her, what, that's awesome. I can get to work on the evaluation now, but it would be great to get you on a phone call sometime when you are free. She gave me a bunch of details about the property. Then I said, awesome. When would you be able to connect to go over the details? And she said, oh, you like what? She kept pushing the phone call away. She really did not want to pursue that. Would you still go ahead and give her a call? She hasn't replied to my last message where she kind of just said, like, what details do you want to talk about? I told her, details about the valuation itself, how I got to the number, how you can look to increase that valuation, and just the general update on the market in the city right now. She hasn't replied to that message. Would you suggest just giving her a call anyways? If she cusses me out, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so there's two strategies I'm going to share with you. One, when a consumer makes it clear how they want to communicate with you. So in this case, you've what she said and kind of what she's not saying. She really does seem to indicate that texting is a preferred method of communication, and for some people, that's just a quick objection. Them just saying, oh, I don't want to talk, I want to text. And then you overcome the objection based on what you said. And they're like, okay, I'll do it. Right. It was just an excuse to not talk. For other people, however, they really don't want to talk. They just want to text. And the only thing that's going to move the needle in getting them to actually, if she is that person that just does not like to talk, the only way you're going to get her time is if you show yourself to be valuable enough to actually talk. So if she doesn't respond to the text within a reasonable amount of time, I would at some point, maybe a day later or something, or find whatever time you originally spoke to her and try to do the same time the next day. Maybe that's just like part of her schedule. She's free at that time to at least text, and text her a really good question. Like it's still a house. But instead of just like making it, how's the condition of the home? And she just says, good. Like give her a question that can like get her talking to you via text. That's really what is happening there. Like, how can I get this person to talk to me? You could talk about where she's moving. I bring up all the time. You could talk about if you do a quick search of the other listings in the neighborhood, like, hey, are you familiar with Smith Street? I saw there was 123 Smith Street just listed. How would you say that home compares to yours? Like, that's a cool, engaging, relevant topic. And then at some point, she's going to, you're going to ask another question, and then hopefully she answers it. It's another engaging question. And then if you can pick something about what she said to talk more about, hey, when you have 5 minutes, so let's say you use the where you're moving question and you have a couple of back and forths, then you're like, hey, when you have 5 minutes, selling where you're at and relocating to another home, there's a couple of gotchas or a couple of things that catch a lot of people up. I'd love to grab your ear for 5 minutes to talk about it. The likelihood of her saying yes to that now, because you have had a valuable conversation via text, just went up significantly. Okay. And if you think about it, like, that would work on me. Wouldn't it work on you? Because I don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I don't like I handle that stuff via text, especially a salesperson. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Like it's like I don't have time for that, you know? So this will work over and over
Yeah.
and over again. I'm not going to say her, but just you'll find consistently when the person shares with you how they want to dialogue, just sit in that just for a second. Like she just wants to like, all right, I'm gonna play your game for a little bit. I'm gonna let you feel comfortable, and then I'm gonna pivot and get you because you're gonna see value in me. So
Okay.
sound good?
Would so you send like a CMA until you kind of get her on the phone, kind of thing, or would you say, you know what, let
Yeah.
me get her a CMA just to show some value?
Well, I just want to. Can I talk to you about the CMA? Like, I wouldn't say it that way, but like just sending it, I'm literally losing the one reason she sees value in talk. The only reason she's not like, stop, this is spam, leave me alone, is because you have something that she wants. As soon as you give her what she wants, in its entirety, right? When you give her everything she wants, and there's no questions left from her perspective, you're instantly irrelevant. That's why I like so much using the range for the CMA. Like, so let's say the home is worth $700,000. I'm going to say, well, look, the low end for your neighborhood is 600,000. The high end is 800,000. To nail that number down with specificity, I at least need to talk. It's best if I walk the property, but I can do my thing and give you a good direction if we at least talk about it. Now, why do I want that? I want that because I want to build some kind of rapport with her. I want to learn more about her story because she doesn't think you are relevant to her until it's time to stick a sign in the yard. She doesn't think you're relevant to her until she's ready to have a door opened to go buy another house. Okay. So your job in talking to her is showing her that there's a lot of things that she hasn't considered that require you to be involved earlier than she thought. This is the great dilemma of working with online leads. None of them have clarity and certainty around their needs. As an agent, as a too nice agent, I'm waiting for them to tell me what to do. Yes. Are you ready to sell? No. Okay. When you're ready, give me a call. I just want them to tell me, right? And the magic here, where the real ROI with working online leads is recognizing that there's another sale that needs to be made. And that sale is you are valuable way, way, way sign in the yard. But the only way you're going to be able to show that value is by having a conversation. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Really, look, guys, that's why you're buying these leads. Like, honestly, you are buying these leads to have the opportunity to talk to a human that owns a home that might be selling. That's literally why you're buying leads. And so this whole moment of, well, I'm getting the lead, but they're not ready to sell yet. And so they didn't want to talk to me. That's the sale. The sale is why you're relevant to talk to them before they're ready. And that's why me talking about planning and consultant with them, that's why it's such a valuable idea to learn from, because it really does work. Archangel, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, Barry. Hope everything is good with you. Thank you so much again for all these sessions. We really appreciate it. So here's my situation, right? So I came into an in-person appointment, spoke to the husband and wife, a very nice person, very nice people. They do have a number in mind to pull the trigger, right? So they wanted like at least 2.5 million in their property. So I kind of offered them, hey, let me appraise her and see what will be real value is, right? So we kind of did. It got appraised, but it only got appraised at 1.65, almost asking for almost like $1 million more, right? So how do you deal with this type of situation? How can I like give them like a sense of urgency to sell, or like what else can I bring, or what value can I bring to this couple?
Yeah. All right. So I would tell you, it really depends on the client, Archangel. What I tell my sellers is, I'll just use this example. No one's ever sold a home for that much in your neighborhood. Now, I'm not saying this is true in your situation, but you get the vibe. Cost per square foot. Nobody's ever sold a home for X amount per square foot in your neighborhood, or that hasn't been done in 10 years. I'm willing to raise property values in partnership with you, but I'm only willing to do it if you understand two things. One, when you overprice a home, it doesn't sell. So at some point, we're going to reduce the home if we list it and it doesn't get any activity. And so I'm going to require a 30-day price adjustment schedule based on the market. And you can't get mad at me when I do that. So you have to understand that the pricing is speculative. No one's ever done this before. You can't get mad at me if I don't sell it. And you can't get mad at me if I have to reduce the price later. And then you do the shared interest. By the way, while no one has ever done this before, and candidly, I think we should list it for what it appraised for. If I sell this home for $2 million, I want you to know that I'm going to call all your neighbors and act like a freaking hero, that I raised all of their property values. So I'm going to benefit as well. Shared interest, right? That's what I'm doing. I'm going to benefit by listing the home for more than what we thought it was worth to try to get the numbers. But if I don't do that, I can't afford you giving a negative review for something that's never been done before. So really, there has to be a shared interest here. You don't mind speculating. You don't mind shooting for the stars. But if they're not on board with you, both emotionally and with a pricing strategy, then it's just not worth your time. It'll be a huge headache and you'll waste a lot of money. Does that make sense? All right. We got Jen. I said one more question. Do you raise your, yeah. Your hand is blending in with the door, so I didn't see it. So thank you, Karen, for pointing it out.
I'm at
It's
a
okay.
different workspace because I'm not at home right now. Hi,
No
Barry.
problem.
Thanks so much. I have a quick question for you on some buyers. I have two buyers waiting in the wings. Their timeline is like this coming winter, like somewhere between January and March. So both of these couples, they have a pretty healthy budget, but I'm kind of unsure at what point in this process do I get them to sign a buyer rep agreement, and at what point do they get pre-approved? Because we're like in this 6 to 7 months buying time window. They're both renters. They're both moved here from out of state. And we have, good rapport, good relationship. But I also don't want to be doing a lot of hustle for them and not like solidifying that client relationship in that agency.
Sure, absolutely. Great question. Are you in the United States?
Yes, I'm in Nashville.
Okay. We have made the change happening August 17th with the National Association of Realtors and commissions coming off of listings in the MLS. We've turned that into a big opportunity. The way that we've turned it into a big opportunity is buyer's agents used to just be buddy-buddy, didn't have to talk about the money. The seller pays it, don't worry about it. That was kind of the vibe. I'm oversimplifying, but that was the vibe. Well, now you have to agree to whatever your respective rate of pay is before you start. And I don't know about you, but it would be tough for me if all I did was open a door. And right before you open the door, say, hey, I need you to sign this. I'm going to be $30,000 at the sale of the transaction. That's my commission. And like, they're looking at the paper and they're looking up at the door and it's like, no, I found the house, right? But if you can meet with them early on, go over everything that you do in a good buyer's presentation, go over all of your value propositions, connect them with your mortgage professional, right? Then getting them to sign that agency agreement at that point in time, you've had an hour with them to build value. And so we've been doing this for 9 months this way because of the change. I prepared my organization. Absolutely crushing. It's like less than 1% of our appointments don't end up signing that agreement. So this is a fantastic time to sit with them, learn more about what their needs are, why they're waiting until winter. And probably as you do that discovery of the process, teaching them why they're waiting for winter, you'll probably see an opportunity to help them. And by helping them, you speed them up. So yes, meet with them. The script is, this is probably the largest financial transaction of your life, and it deserves wise planning and careful consideration. My other clients really appreciated when we sat down and went over the process from beginning to end. I can do this Wednesday afternoons or Saturday mornings. I can also be flexible, what works best for you. Either or close with a touch of flexibility. You get that appointment, you meet with them. We found the buyer funnel shrinks from 9 to 12 months to 3 to 4 months over and over and over again, just because we made it easier for them. So, all right, guys. Well, we went a little bit over. We're just a bunch of fanatics. We can't help it. We love our industries. So keep up the good work and good luck. Next week, we'll continue this process of going over the book, Too Nice for Sale. So I hope to see you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Love this. Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, everyone. Let's go and apply.